people with extra body parts. Being ordinary can be a little bit boring, so how about we add something extra to our body? Today, we'll be leaving you wondering if we're living with aliens among us. Fear not, in this video, we show you people with some of the most bizarre extra body parts. Messengers from the underworld? Two-Face? But first, let's get started with this lizard girl over here. Number 16, Anika Irmler. I had a feeling that lizard people existed on this planet. This German lady with a long tongue proved my doubts. She made it into the Guinness World Book of Records after studies revealed that she had the world's longest female tongue. While the average human tongue is only about 3.5 centimeters, Anika's measures a whopping 7.5. She even brags about how she'd be able to lick the bottom of her ice cream cup while her friends were forced to use fingers. Number 15, Three-Armed Boy, Nepal. Are you a fan of comics? Then you may have heard of Morgan Stryker, the guy with 4 arms. However, he's proof that not all extra-armed characters are created equal. Sure, most characters with the 4 arms have the standard split, 2 on the left, 2 on the right, but not Morgan Stryker. That's the same case with our boy here. It all started with a growth that formed after birth, and the doctors had warned to have it removed after 5 days. However, the little guy's parents didn't have the money to cover the costs, so they decided to ignore it. However, after a while, what was only a harmless growth grew into an extra limb. Doctors warned that the limb would keep growing until something could be done. Unfortunately, this wasn't a happy ending that we all wished for. An extra limb attached to your spine comes with its disadvantages. Being stuck in a wheelchair for the rest of your life or being paralyzed. Sorry, little buddy. Number 14, Zhang Ruifang. Do you believe in unicorns? You just might after watching this. The only place you'd expect to find a human with horns is in the movies or during Halloween cosplay. But this woman has lived with a protruding horn on her forehead her entire life. The funnel-shaped horn-like growth has charmed people towards this elderly woman until she acquired the name unicorn. Doctors have traced it to be an issue brought by a lot of sunlight exposure or maybe radiation. Wait a minute, does this mean that if I stay out in the sun, the rays are gonna get through my skin and give me some awesome extraterrestrial superpowers? By the look of things, it seems that a horn just might be the secret to eternity because this woman clocked over 100 years. Number 13, Two-Faced Boy. Imagine getting stuck with a mask on your face for the rest of your life. Not by choice, but because Mother Nature decided to make you unique. This story takes us to China when we meet Zhang Ruifang, also nicknamed Mask Face Boy. He was born with a rare condition of a cleft face, something that medical professionals had never seen occurring alone before. The family was able to afford money for several operations to prepare their face thanks to well-wishers. On May 19th and September 1st in 2010, the boy underwent 2 operations which were both successful. But now the boy has to wait about 10 years to see if his facial bones will grow normally. We want to see how this turned out. Number 12, Kumari Nayak. The thing about human beings is that we tend to get spooked out with things we don't understand or think are abnormal. Sometimes this affects other people, and usually in a negative way. This is Kumari Nayak from India, who was born with a syndrome called polydactylism. She has 19 toes and 12 fingers, claiming her the Guinness World Record for having the most digits in the world. All this fame sounds great, but this lady has known nothing but misery. Her conditions plagued her for her entirety of her life, meaning she often feels forced to stay inside. What's worse is that her neighbors labeled her a witch. Could you imagine trying to write with extra fingers? A quick question though, what kind of shoes do you think she was wearing? Number 11, Extra Nose. Hello, Chino, what's going on? This is a crazy story about a guy who has 2 noses, and guess what? He's from the Fujian province in China. Okay, he wasn't actually born with it, but let's just say doctors had to get crafty to make a second nose on his forehead. He got into this predicament after being involved in a fatal car accident. His nose, if you figured it out by now, was pretty damaged and was on the verge of decaying. The most practical solution was to give him a new nose on the forehead. It was drawn from the man's rib cartilage and fixed diagonally upward. Of course, this is a tremendous surgery, one of its kind that created a buzz in the media. Sir, excuse me, sir. Can you smell the future? Number 10, Francesco Lentini. Francesco Lentini was born in 1889, carrying the burden of his parasitic twin. Lentini had 3 legs, 4 feet, 16 toes, and 2 pairs of genitals. What better way to show off, you say? Instead of hiding away like Kumari, Lentini decided to use his skills to join the freak show. Despite his parents being ashamed of him, he became a sensational character who even found love along the way and got married to Teresa Murray. In this era, 3 legs would put him in a lot of work with the vintage fascination of American freak shows, things that were left in the 19th and early 20th centuries. I just want to see footage of him walking. Do you think he can walk backwards? Number 9, man with a 3rd ear. In a superficial setup, we'd make a joke that this ear grew out of disobedience from this guy's past life. Maybe this time around he'll listen more? That's because, unlike most people on this list that had extra parts due to natural causes or medical emergencies, Stelios Arcadio from Australia grew a lab-made ear on his arm. Yeah, you heard that right. Can you imagine this is so real that the ear is functional? If given the chance, would you dare take part in a trial like that? Number 8, Turtle Boy. Didier's birthmark, which was a mole on his back, grew so big it looked like a turtle shell. This eventually gave him the nickname Turtle Boy. This severely affected his life because the growth covered about 3/4 of his tiny body. It didn't allow him to enjoy the outdoors like every other kid due to the painful itchiness of his skin, as well as the unsightly appearance that shattered his confidence. Although it's not a rare condition, Didier's situation was something medical experts had never seen. Villagers from their hometown even blamed their mother, claiming that she watched the solar eclipse while pregnant. How absurd! Luckily, the champ was helped by surgeons in the UK, and he can now continue living a normal life. Number 7, lip plates. While celebrities are rushing for lip fillers, there's African cultures beating them to the game. Is a plate dangling on your lower lip large enough? The Mercy and Surma tribe women will show you just how flexible the human body can get. They're famous for their wooden lip plates, which serve as a symbol of beauty and identity. What seems like cosplay is a culture they embrace from their early teens. Would I ever try this? Not in a billion years. How does one even eat? Number 6, 2 wombs. When you beat the odds of 1 in 50 million, it may sound like you're the luckiest person in the world. But in this situation, Ashley Callow was left speechless after her doctor told her she would be having twins, and that there would be 1 baby growing in each of her 2 wombs. Ashley's doctor confirmed it was the first time he'd see this happen in 30 years of practicing medicine. The condition, known as uterus didelphys, is a rare condition that means a woman's born with 2 uteruses, as well as 2 cervixes and, in some cases, 2 private parts. As much as it came as a shock to her doctor, Ashley was already in the loop about her condition. She found out while undergoing an ultrasound for a kidney infection as a teenager. Number 5, extra feet length. Bigfoot might be a fictional character, but Jason Orlando Rodriguez from Venezuela is the closest to a real-life Bigfoot. At just 10 years old, he stood out from his peers, and everyone had a hunch that he was going to be the biggest they'd ever seen. Certainly, puberty hit, and it wasn't long before this became his reality. The guy even made it to the Guinness World Record book at 22 when his feet measured 40.55 centimeters. I've got one question. Where does this guy shop for shoes? Number 4, big hands. Hulk, is that you? These right here are the type of people you better never pick a fight with. One slap in the face, and you're on another continent dusting yourself up. This guy's got the most gigantic hands I've ever seen. Number 3, longest neck. This lady has no problem cheating in her exams thanks to her 7-inch long neck. Ludmila in Crimea was born with Marfan syndrome. This is characterized by elongated limbs, thinness, altered vertebrae, and a weak spine. Her unusual growth spurt started at the age of 11, and by the age of 14, Ludmila was already 6 foot 5 inches tall. At first, she was shy, but she learned to embrace herself. Number 2, woman with a beard. If you thought that natural beards were only a guy's thing, you are wrong. Rosina Al-Shatir from Bristol, UK, started growing her facial hair as a social experiment in 2016. This is due to polycystic ovarian syndrome that saw the onset of a full mustache after puberty hit. Although she initially spent years waxing it off, Rosina learned to embrace her extraordinary features. Number 1. Rapunzel. If you've never seen a real-life Rapunzel, then take a flight to India and you won't regret it. Nilanshi Patel set a new world record. She's known as the teenager with the lengthiest hair. She adapted to her extra hair that it's no longer a bother to her and it doesn't affect her daily duties. Her mother's been her help all throughout, as it is hectic to have a clean wash. Imagine accidentally breaking her neck because she suddenly stepped on her hair. See you next time.